Britain may not be in the race to the moon. It's possible that she's going to the dogs, but line-up tonight will show you that patriotism is not entirely dead. With me tonight is a small, hand-picked army ready to go to war. One member, in fact, was in the front line earlier this evening. The battle has been waged for several years, and as in all wars, strategy itself is sometimes under fire. Last year, for example, gimlet-eyed General Tom Sloan, head of BBC Light Entertainment, called his chiefs of staff together and announced, "Gentlemen, pops and beat music has had it." And he sent a brave soldier, Kenneth McKellar, over the top to fight and eventually to fall in the fields of Luxembourg. And then, shedding a manly tear, General Sloan said, "I thought there was a swing towards ballads. I was wrong. It's as simple as that." The Eurovision Song Contest has been going for 10 years, and during that time, Britain has been runner-up 5 times. Perhaps this year, with Tom Sloan's decision to send Sandie Shaw soldiering to Vienna, incidentally for this action she's excused boots and shoes, victory may yet be ours. On the other hand, such are the fortunes of war, she may fare no better than Kenneth McKellar. There will be 5 songs in 5 weeks. The nation will then vote on which song will be launched on an astonished, and we hope, instantly conquered Europe. Well, the 5 songs, one of which will be sung by Sandie Shaw in Vienna next April, are represented tonight by their composers. Mitch Murray, who wrote Tell the Boys with Peter Callender. It was first heard tonight. Roger Webb, who wrote Cry Myself to Sleep. Bill Martin, who wrote Puppet on a String with Phil Coulter. Jimmy Stewart, who wrote Ask Any Woman with Jerry Langley. And Chris Andrews, who wrote Had a Dream Last Night. Also with us in solitary splendour over there on my left, a man who's not involved in the battle but is an interested neutral, jazz critic and journalist Benny Green. I'll start with you, Mitch Murray, if I may. Does the fact that one of your songs is going to be heard by different European countries affect your approach at all? I mean, have you in fact written a song for Europe or for yourself?
No, basically you write it for Europe, with the idea in mind that if it doesn't get past the British audiences, it won't even get to Europe. That is really the basic way of tackling it. Then you've got the problem of writing for an artist, custom-built for an artist. So you have to write according to Sandie Shaw's ability and style. Luckily her ability is pretty good.
But how do you write for Europe? I mean, how do you know what your market is? That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yes, well, this is experience, and I've been in the happy position of being able to write successfully for Europe for quite some time. And so is my co-writer, Peter Callender. So
yeah.
We feel also that we essentially want to write a happy song for a contest of this sort, because this is the type that happy songs are always popular because they create a warmth inside you.
Roger Webb, are you writing a happy song? Is yours?
Mine's an unhappy song, actually, I guess.
Does that mean you weren't writing for Europe?
You write songs, and this song suited Sandie, I think. You know, I think Mitch is right that a happy song is a good song for Europe. But this song seemed to suit Sandie, and after all, she's singing it.
Yeah, but you didn't, in fact, set out to write a song for Europe so much as...
Yes, but I came up with an unhappy song. But as it was for Sandie, you know, here we go.
Bill Martin, what's your approach?
Yeah, well, we had a happy song as well, but the thing is, as far as Europe goes, it's an entirely different market from Britain, although as Mitch says, you must win the British contest before you even get through. But you must write for Europe. And I don't know, I feel that a sad song, I feel an up-tempo song must win it. Although how can you say that when, as the song we heard there, This Is My Prayer, that was a winner, Volare, all these things. But I feel a happy song must win it.
Jimmy Stewart?
I'm not really sure. I think that melody is very important in Europe, and idiom more important here. So if you strike a balance between the two, which is what we tried to do.
Yeah.
But this song that we got in was written the night before we had to have songs into the publisher. We had 2 entirely different ones.
Yeah. Chris Andrews, this does imply that you're all writing very commercially, doesn't it? If you are all writing for that particular market. Do you agree with that?
Well, I try to write commercial all the time, because that's the thing that sells and makes money. And I'm very interested in money. But for the Eurovision Song Contest, I never sit down and write a song for a particular person. And when I wrote this song, I didn't know it was going to be something for the Eurovision Song Contest. It was just a song that I'd written, and I submitted it to Sandie and to my publisher. And so this is a song that we're going to put forward to the Eurovision Song Contest.
But this is the way you work anyway, isn't it? Because you don't
All
write
the
for
time.
Sandie Shaw, although you write most of her songs.
I just write a song, and Sandie will come to me and say, but I need a new record. Have you got anything? So I'll say, oh well, I've got this, this, and this. But I've not written it for Sandie, as such.
Well, I'd like to bring Benny Green in now and throw it wide open. What do you think of the standard of songs in recent years for the Eurovision Song Contest?
Very, very low indeed. I can't imagine it being much lower than it's been. I'll probably never get out of here alive, but I have to say this. I can't think of a song which I would describe as a good song being in the contest ever, with the exception of Valari and My Kind of Gal. My Kind of Gal, incidentally, never got to the final, but all the other songs seem to me to be very transient things that are forgotten as soon as the occasion's forgotten.
Well, assuming for the moment you're right, why do you think this is?
Well, this is it's an enormous sociological question. It's to do with the reason why the age group which buys records and patronises the business generally has got much lower in the last 25 or 30 years. And I believe that the standard of music has got correspondingly lower as the age group's got lower. It's no longer true that there's a popular music really written for an adult audience. It's now written for kids. I don't decry anybody catering for this market because, as Chris said, money has got to be considered. But it has had the effect of, I think, lowering very drastically the standards of popular songwriting.
Yes, but I mean, if you take, for the sake of argument, the fact that this year all the entries that came in were anonymous in the sense that the panel didn't know who'd written them, don't you think it is significant that these five have come up in that they are established writers? Doesn't this prove something?
No, it just proves that established writers in this country are not able to produce good songs. I mean, I haven't heard this year's entries, but it's proved in the past. And I must also say that it's an illusion, you see, this business of that these five songs are the best songs in Britain. They happen to be the best five, perhaps, of the songs that were submitted. But I could name names of many songwriters that don't write the type of stuff that kids buy, who don't bother to submit because they know it's over before it begins. There's no point in submitting because their kind of music is not suited to the general pop climate. But some of the music I've heard of this kind is very much better than what you hear on the Eurovision Song Contest.
Well, there are five of you on my right. I don't want to hold up things by asking you individually to speak up. Does anybody want to come back at Benny Green on
Yeah,
that?
I feel it's a fallacy talking about kids. I mean, we know that you like Sinatra and all this. I mean, he had Strangers in the Night. This was a giant. This wasn't written for the kids.
Well,
People don't write songs for kids anymore. You write a popular song. That's the answer. If it's a popular song, then who cares who it's written for as long as it's popular?
yeah, but we all know that the bulk of the sales comes from kids. I know you don't sit down and say, I'm going to cater for a kid of 14 or whatever it is. But it is an economic fact. We know that the bulk of the market is kids.
I think the main objection to your argument is that you've said that this has brought down the standard of songs, lowered the standard of songs. And if you think of the standard of songs, say, 6 years ago, I honestly don't think you've got a leg to stand on.
I wasn't thinking
67
about 6 years ago,
No,
you
but
see.
you did say that they get...
I did say the last
progressively-
generation. I mean, I don't think, maybe in the last 6 years there's been an improvement. I don't know. Some years the worms travel faster than other years. But I'm talking about 25, 30 years ago. I'm not painting a rosy picture saying that, excuse me, 25 years ago every song was great. It wasn't. But if you compare the very popular songs of, let's say 30 years ago, with the popular songs of the day, then this simply isn't any argument. There really
Yeah, but 30 years from now, the popular songs of today may be the popular songs then.
That may well, we can't decide that unless we
They
come
will
back here in
be.
30 years'
There
time.
must be.
In every generation.
Well, it's been true in the past, but I don't think that, with all due respect, I don't think that the songs that you've written will be heard of or be remembered or even thought about in 30 years' time.
But you can't say that without hearing the songs. The songs could be tremendous.
You just did.
Well, all my remarks apply to the previous 9 years, naturally, because you gentlemen may have drastically altered the whole situation and turned up, great songs in the vein that I'm talking about.
Well, we're not
I'm willing
claiming
to
to
bet
be-
you haven't, but it could be. I'm talking about the previous 9 years.
Well, I think you've got to consider that 30 years ago there were many fewer media, yes? Tom?
Yeah.
Media for, I'm only a songwriter, for pushing these songs across. You didn't have a widespread network of television all over the world. You didn't have as much radio exploitation. So the fact is that only the great songs really got through and people actually heard. Nowadays you're hearing a lot of songs. You can really hear about 130 or 140 different songs per day. Obviously, a lot of them have got to be rubbish. It must be, because you can't turn out 140 great songs a day. But if we have one great song every 3 months, and I believe we do, these are going to be the standards that you're going to be saying in another 30 years' time. They don't write songs like that anymore.
Tell me the three great songs that the last 3 months, a great song the last 3 months have produced.
Of the last 3 months.
I'd like to bring up another point, if I might. Most of the songs we remember, the standards as you call them, stemmed from musicals, stage shows and films.
Yes.
An awful lot of them.
Yeah, most of them.
And I think that the stage shows today, like Richard Rodgers, who is not a youngster, but is still writing songs, Leonard Bernstein, the musicals, the songs will still be around, regardless of the pop scene, are new standards, surely.
Well, with particular reference
And film tunes.
with particular reference to Richard Rodgers, I don't think he's the same writer he once was. And I think that, in time, his later work, particularly, the Sound of Music type score, won't be regarded as in Richard Rodgers' canon at all.
Well, I think we're being too restricted here. I just mean shows in general. Musicals and films produce, by and large, the best standard of material.
Yes, they do
in the
indeed.
sense you're talking of.
Yes.
And these songs will be around. Another thing is...
So, Roger, may I pick you up on that? Are you saying, in fact, that it's impossible for a pop song to become a standard?
No.
You're not saying that?
No, not by any means.
I think
the Beatles, we're bound to get to...
herring, because it is a red herring. It doesn't matter to me, or to most people, where the song comes from. I don't care if it's written for a musical or for a choir or anything else. All that I'm bothered with is the standard of the song itself.
Yeah, surely. It doesn't matter where it comes from, but I'm just saying that a lot of the songs that are around today, you look at your LP material, the songs that Sinatra, Jack Jones records, all these people, stem from musicals and films
Yes.
to a large extent.
Yes.
And most of the musical scores, the successful musicals, the successful film songs today and in the last few years produce good material,
Yes. True.
and they'll be around.
Well, it seems to me that you're hanging yourself, because what you're implying is that's the good stuff, and the stuff that's not in musicals, the stuff you write, is no good.
Well, I don't say that because the classic song that's come out in the last 3 months, and it's a pop song, Winchester Cathedral, and it's been recorded by Stan Getz, Errol Gardner, Frank Sinatra. This will be a standard, a giant.
Well,
You might not like it, but it was written as a pop song.
Yes, it was. I don't like it myself.
But it was reminiscent of your favourite period, the 30s. My favourite period
No, my
as well.
favourite period is not necessarily the 30s, because I do believe that songs as good as those are written today. I think Sandie Shaw sang one on that excerpt. I thought she said... No, I mean...
More.
I meant The Shadow of Your Smile.
Yeah.
Well, that's from a film.
That's a film song.
Yeah, and it's very interesting to me that Sandie didn't sing the correct melody. I'm not talking about what she called it, busking or something, but the very first, there's 3 or 4 leading notes, and the very first note of the song, she didn't sing the right note at all.
Yeah, but when you were playing saxophone, did you always play the right melody?
When I was supposed to be playing a tune, yes. Sandie started off by singing the melody, you see, and didn't sing the melody. And this is what I wanted you to pick you up on this point before, when you said that Sandie had a lot of ability. This is a relative statement, but in view of what she did to Shadow of Your Smile, if I was Johnny Mandel, I would probably say that she didn't have all that much ability.
No, if you're a songwriter, you wouldn't say that, because every time you perform, you're quite happy.
It's never as good as you sing it yourself, You know what you were saying earlier about songs being now not as good as they used to be in the 30s. Now, every songwriter, I think, has got a couple of songs that he writes every month. Well, I do anyway.
I think are good songs, good quality songs. But you take them to publishers or to singers, and they say, this is a great song, but you know, we can't record it because the kids won't buy it.
It's too good.
You
know,
see,
they
this is
haven't
exactly,
been can't be
exactly
bought.
what I just said, that the market is not conducive to the popularity of good songs. I agree with you perfectly.
Yeah, but you did say that the people are not writing.
Well, what I mean is there's no evidence that they're writing
Well,
them.
I think we have to bring the Beatles up sooner or later. You know,
Well, yesterday and things like that.
you can pick 50% of their songs for a start, which are going to be standards, and I'm sure you admit that.
Don't agree with
Do you admit that, Benny?
You don't.
I certainly
maybe
don't,
half
but,
a dozen.
you know, I think the whole thing is ludicrous.
Don't agree with you as far as that's concerned.
But there is another point. Songs are written according to fads as well, and getting away from films. I don't quite know when, but there was the ragtime thing, which produced a lot of material.
Yes.
Right. There's been the bossa nova film.
Yes.
You know, for the last few years, and I think the amount of good bossa novas or tunes associated with, like Desafinado and so on, are good tunes.
Yes,
Girl from
some of
Ipanema.
those are.
They'll
but-
stick around.
Every craze has its standards attached to it.
But we're not talking about crazes, we're talking about the general standard in the pop market.
Yeah,
And the general standard in the pop market is absurd.
No.
Absurdly low.
raise the standard of the pop market? Look,
I'm not blaming you fellows for the condition of the market. We're all in the hands of the situation.
You can't blame us because
Well, I'll tell you what you must do, gentlemen. You must all sit down and you must write a summertime and the way you look tonight.
That wouldn't, people wouldn't buy that
They wouldn't.
now.
they wouldn't buy
On a
it. You're cutting your
record.
market in Britain down
Another
by
thing,
about 75%.
Are you seriously saying, gentlemen, that you've written songs as good as this?
No.
Are you seriously
I
suggesting
don't
you have
think
the
I've ever
ability
written
to?
anything as good as Summertime, but I think I've written as good as Summertime.
Gentlemen, but I
we
think
could-
if a Summertime came out now on a record, say as played as it was in the, when was it written, in the 30s or something, and if it was done like that and put out on a record, it wouldn't sell, so no one would make any money. So there's no point in it.
Yeah, I know, but that's not the reason you don't
every
write
popular
songs.
song.
No,
Yeah,
it's
but
not
you're
true.
talking about record sales, not the Eurovision Song Contest, which
I'm
is
just
based
talking
on
I'm very sorry, I
television
will
viewers.
have to bring you to a very swift
Bring us to a
conclusion now, but I'll give the last word to Benny Green.
No,
Do you-
it's unfair. It's unfair.
No, I will. I think I will. Benny, do you think, as Tom Sloan has said, that Sandie Shaw represents 1967?
Well, she doesn't for me, but I don't suppose I count because I'm over 21. I'm sure she represents 1967 for a hell of a lot of
All right,
people.
one last word from one of you, whichever one speaks first. Quick.
Oh, yes,
Does
she represents it because she's a hit artist all over Europe. And this is what we want, a hit song for the Eurovision Song Contest.
This time we'll win it.
This is it.
Whoever.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed.